talk about on the flip side. We mentioned who's on the mound for the Stanford Cardinal. Let's talk about who the USC Trojans are throwing out there for this first month.
Yeah, so you talk about it with Caden Aoki. You look at the numbers. This is going to be start number 5 for him, a 7.71 ERA coming into it in about 18 2/3 innings. The one thing for him is the same way I said you never want to be the team that gets the bats going. You also don't want to be the team that gets the pitcher going, right? So, of course, he's trying to get back in that rhythm with this conference play starting. And so, obviously, they call it ERA. It's an average for a reason. It's going to even out. It's going to get a little bit lower there. But if you're Stanford, of course, you don't want to be the team that's the reason why it starts getting lower.
Right.
Well, obviously, the main thing is you want to get through this top of the first inning about as easy as possible, right? Limit whoever's going to get on the base pass. Obviously, the ultimate situation would be 1, 2, 3. So when you go into the batter's box to start at the bottom of the first, you're still tied 0-0. Got a chance to get some runs on the board there first. But I think the real thing is, obviously, you got to look at how USC is starting this game off. And, of course, I know we'll talk about the starting lineup here. As always, the most important thing is you want to make sure a leadoff hitter in every inning, that's always the most important hitter in my opinion. Make sure you can retire that batter there and just go from there.
Now, we've mentioned that USC, they were 0-5 to start the year. Since then, they really have been able to put together more than 2 games. It's been up and down for them throughout this entire season, 16 games played. And Stanford, on the other hand, as you mentioned, 2-5 to start the season. Since then, 6 wins and just 2 losses. How big of a factor is momentum coming into this, knowing that in this season it is a little bit separated between non-conference and conference?
Well, again, if you look at it from the lens for Stanford, it's all about finding that groove. Again, you have a lot of unproven players that take up a lot of time for Stanford right now. And, again, that's just a testament to how good a lot of the players were here for so long. And so now it's just about continuing to get some more of that experience, continuing to play, just being in those moments, which is why I think, again, them getting that series win to start off conference play was so huge on the road nonetheless. So now it's just building on top of that.
Building on top of it indeed, and Stanford in the field getting set to play. USC will pick up the bats first here today. And I guess on the flip side, if you're USC, no momentum has really been built either way. A little bit of a losing streak to start the season, but since then no streaks whatsoever. How do you start to put some momentum together, especially when you're facing teams that really have had a better year than you?
Well, I think the thing for them that kind of helps is, even though you had that series loss to Arizona, I think if I were them, I would go back to what they did on March 5th. The reason why is because you go to Cal State Fullerton. It's a road game. Always tougher, of course, to win on the road. So now here you are in a certain situation where you have your first conference road series. And I think, again, it's just sometimes when you don't have that start that you want, or maybe there's a streak of the season that's not going the way you want it to, you look for anything here or there to kind of build that momentum and go from there. And I mean, you look at some of the losses that they have, right? Like even when they played against TCU, even though they lost against TCU, the fact that it was a close game, I think that went 11 innings, you can build off something from that.
Okay.
So that's how I would look at it for them.
And it looks like we are about to get set and get started. We'll bring you the lineup shortly, but first, let's bring it over to the first pitch. Matt Scott on the mound for the Cardinal, and up to the plate first for USC, Austin Overn, center fielder. First pitch in for a strike from Scott. 0-1 the count now to start.
This is what you want to see from Stanford early on, too. Just go ahead and really attack that strike zone, as you see Scott's doing already. It's a 0-2 count.
Oh, 2 now, off to a great start here. Matt Scott, we've mentioned Scott coming off a big week. Plenty other accolades under his belt, and Scott now looking for the pitch, and a high fly ball to right field. Reynolds under it in right field, and he'll put it away. So 1 up, 1 down. A good start for Matt Scott here on the mound for the Stanford Cardinal.
Exactly how you want to see it. 3 pitches, 3 strikes to get the leadoff runner out. Again, this is a USC lineup, and I know I talked about getting the bats going, and I say that more so loosely because they do have some guys in this lineup that have had a good start to this year. And you're seeing one right now, Jacob Galloway hitting 383. So, of course, you want to make sure the base paths are as clean as possible if someone like him's coming up to the plate.
Absolutely. Jacob Galloway, catcher behind the plate here for the Trojans. And first pitch, ball, 1-0 the count. Galloway, sophomore out of California. He leads the team in batting average, OPS, hits, and RBIs. A dangerous player and not something that you see a lot from a catcher in such strong hitting.
Who said anything about a sophomore slump?
Scott in for another ball, 2-0 the count now. I feel like we need to spend a little bit more time here highlighting Matt Scott and what he's been able to do. Speaking of sophomores, the sophomore out of Connecticut mentioned he's coming off of Pitcher of the Week, and he'll deliver for a strike. Got him swinging through that, so Galloway swings through for the first strike of the at-bat. Matt Scott, what a season he's been having so far.
And this is what you love to see if you're Stanford. Again, we talked about it. Some of the, especially, I know we talked about it in terms of the offense and what they've lost there. You think about it again, Quinn Matthews, who was the Friday night guy for Stanford last year. Of course, we know about that absolutely phenomenal postseason pitching performance that he had here at Sunken Diamond. And you wonder, okay, with the younger arms, who's going to step into that role? And so far, to your point, Matt Scott's done a phenomenal job being that Friday night guy.
2-2 the count now. Scott able to work back from a 2-0 count now. Ahead in the count, and he delivers a good pitch, though, for 2 strikes there. But a better eye from Galloway. 3-2 now to Galloway.
Pretty interesting matchup here we have today. We have both catchers are batting second in these lineups.
Here's the payoff pitch and a high fly ball. That'll go foul down the left field line. You're mentioning both catchers hitting relatively high in the lineup then.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I know usually when people think of catchers, right, and your stereotypical catcher, there might be a little bit lower in the lineup. They're not the high on base type of players, but of course 2 really good players, and Malcolm Moore for Stanford, I know is a little bit of a slow start this year, but he's due to go off at any given moment. And, of course, we talked about what Jacob Galloway's already doing.
No tired legs as Galloway slaps that right back where it came from, and that'll go into center field for a single. And just like that, we see what Galloway's been able to do all year. Gets on base for the Trojans, and that's big. Second batter, and he reaches base, and now Kevin Taguchi, the left fielder for USC, will come up to the plate with a runner on and 1 out.
That's a good approach there on the full count there by Galloway. Saw him fouling off a pitch until he could find something he could do a little something with. And even then, it's not a big swing. It's just do what you can, find some space. I mean, there's a reason why he's starting off the year hitting 383.
Uchi swings and a high fly ball. It looks like that'll stay in bounds. Chasing is Nati, and he's able to get to it. A big out there. Suddenly, instead of 1 on and 1 out, it's 1 on and 2 outs for the Stanford Cardinal. And coming up to the plate, cleanup hitter, number 13, Ryan Jackson, shortstop for the Trojans.
Tell you what, that is not as easy of a play as it might appear. First off, if you've never been here at Sunken Diamond before, there is a lot of foul territory. Usually how you see it in some of those older MLB stadiums, right? You think about the Coliseum over in Oakland, some places like that. And then it looked like, I mean, for the most part where we're sitting, it doesn't look like there's that much wind, but you could tell that ball kind of took a little turn in the air there, so good adjustment.
Absolutely, and there still is some sun coming in, so staring a little bit into the sun as well. First pitch just misses. 1-0 the count here. Scott trying to get out of this inning after giving up 1 hit with 1 on, and now pitching from the stretch. Delivers and for a strike. Beautiful pitch, that one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you saw some of that tailing action, too. It looked like it was going away from the right-handed hitter. A
1-1 on the count now. Scott delivers swing and a foul ball. And USC, it looks like they're seeing the ball relatively well off of Matt Scott already in this first inning.
Well, you take a look at it right now. Of course, it's a 6 o'clock start. And for the most part, this is a good time to see the ball if you're at the plate because the shadow's still more so towards right field, maybe more into center field. We'll see what happens, though, when it gets a little bit later. But you're right. They're swinging and being aggressive early on in the count.
Speaking of being aggressive, runner goes. Galloway went looking for the steal. Looks like the hit and run was on as Jackson swung through that, but that'll dribble foul. So back to first base for Galloway, and we will do that again. 1-2 the count now, and Scott ahead in the count. Be interesting to see if they send that runner once again.
That's always the one thing I hated the most about trying to steal when I ever played baseball. If it's a foul ball and I got to run back again,
wasted energy.
Don't make me run if it's not worth anything.
Here's the pitch. High, and the runner will definitely go on that one. Trying to keep him to second base is more behind the plate for Stanford, and he'll hold the play up there. But Galloway advancing on a pass ball.
We just talked about it, right, with the foul outs, all that room that's in foul territory here as you're looking right now on your screen. It's pretty much anything that gets behind a catcher and can get all the way to that backstop, you're already guaranteed 90 feet. Sometimes you might get 2 bases.
Now runner in scoring position, 2-2 the count, 2 outs, and a line drive into center field. Rounding the bases is Galloway. He'll come home, and the relay is cut off at home plate. So USC strikes first. A single brings Galloway home, and an RBI single for Ryan Jackson as he stops at first base.
Well, again, you look at it. We talked about it before when Galloway had his single. It's a 2-strike approach. You cut down on the swing and just try to find something to do with it. I mean, that was as about easy goes at swing as possible. Just put it right back up the middle. Good job by Jackson.
2 hits, both right back up the middle where they came from. And now number 2, Kaiki Harrison, the sophomore out of Hawaii, second baseman for the USC Trojans, will take the plate. 2 outs, 1 on. Top of the first, and USC first to strike here. And somewhat of a commentator's curse here. We said it was going to be a defensive battle, and already at the top of the first, we've got an inning, or we've got a run.
See, this is what happens when Ethan tells us to do an open. Something's going to go completely against what we said we were expecting to see.
It's not our fault.
It's all Ethan's fault. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Scott checking the runner at first, and now with 1-0 count. He'll deliver, swinging through it is Harrison. 1-1 the count now. A beautiful pitch, 95-mile-an-hour fastball there from Matt Scott.
That's always that hard one to deal with, that fastball upstairs. It always looks so good, and it just jumps on you.
Harrison batting 5th with some power in the lineup here. He's batting .346 on the season, but he's slugging .615. And the runner goes once again. Moore trying to get him stealing and well behind. And Jackson will steal second base. So far, both runners looking to steal on Matt Scott. Jordan, what kind of statistics, what kind of intel are they reading here before this game to know that they need to steal on Scott?
Well, right now you look at it, this is a team in terms of USC. I think they came into this game batting about .225 as a team. So when you're struggling sometimes at the plate, you're going to try to do whatever you can to really manufacture offense and get things going. Now, of course, you get the strikeout there, so it doesn't fully matter. But you see USC is trying to do whatever they can to make some things work here offensively.
They've been aggressive, and it's paid off. In the middle of the first, USC leading 1-0. Matt Scott getting that strikeout to end the half inning, and Stanford now will take their first turn at the plate, and we will be back with you shortly for that. Hello, everybody, and welcome back for the bottom of the first. Coming back here a little early because we are going to talk you through this Stanford Cardinal batting order coming up to the plate for the first time in this game. And Jordan, what are you seeing here? Talk us through this batting order.
Well, we talked about it a little bit in the top of the first about how the two catchers are in the two holes for both of these teams. And, for Malcolm Moore this year, you look at the numbers so far, right around 200 at the plate. Obviously, as we all know, we saw his freshman campaign last year, so much of a better player. So you kind of wonder when that rhythm's going to start getting in, right? I mean, we saw that even last year just talking about star players. Brock Jones had that slow start for Stanford last year, but of course you knew just because of how good of a player he was, eventually he was going to get out of that and get things rolling. So maybe let's see if that happens starting tonight.
And coming up to the plate first for the Stanford Cardinal, Court McDonald, the left fielder, sophomore from Arlington, Texas. Last year appeared in just 10 games, batted .250. This year, batting .302. One of the 4 players on the Stanford Cardinal batting above 300. In terms of leadoff, batting .316 in the leadoff position. Good person to have up on the plate here. Kick it off if you're the Stanford Cardinal.
Oh, absolutely. Again, the .302 average. Court, again, one of those guys you didn't see a lot with Stanford last year. And I should change this up a little bit for Malcolm. He actually, I think he's homered in back-to-back games, I think, going back to earlier last year. So you want to see him continue that hot streak that he's been on as of late.
And a high fly ball to center field. For a second there, it looked like it had something under it, but the deepest part of the yard over towards that 400-yard sign, and USC Overn in center field will put him away. And now coming up to the plate here for the Stanford Cardinal, number 10, Malcolm Moore, the catcher, who we've already talked quite a bit about. He's been busy behind the plate in the top of the first, trying to throw out 2 runners, and now he'll get his chance batting.
Yeah, preseason All-America member for first team of Baseball America, I think second in terms of perfect game. And again, it was just so impressive to me the way he was able to step into that lineup and, of course, behind the plate last year and be such a presence for Stanford. Again, you think about all the expectations, what Stanford was building off of course, going to the College World Series a year before, and now you have to be a freshman backstop to help lead that and go there again. That's incredible.
He had a great year last year. Baseball America freshman All-American, baseball freshman All-American accolades just continue, and then they continue into this year. Golden Spikes Award watch list as he lines it down the right field line, and foul is the call. And we don't have the best angle here, but from here it looked like it might have been in play.
Yeah, I thought that was a good one, but you saw it over there. Christopher Gonzalez emphatically saying that was a foul ball.
Good contact made, though, from Malcolm Moore. As we mentioned already this year, some big accolades, including leading the team in home runs. He's on 5 on the season. Not only that, Pac-12 preseason all-conference freshman, sophomore. Swinging through it. And USC will take care of that. A bouncing ball on that third pitch, swinging strike.
I know everyone loves that phrase, back foot slider. That is the true definition of a back foot slider. I mean, just take a look where this pitch ends up. And, I mean, there's pretty much nothing that Malcolm could do with it. What a great 2-strike pitch there coming from Aoki.
Truly, and Aoki so far getting ahead in the count. 2 batters getting ahead in the count on both of them, and now coming up to the plate. Number 6, Jimmy Tay, and what is there to say? What is there really not to say about number 6 for the Stanford Cardinal?
Jimmy, again, he's off to a great start to this year. So, again, another guy who you would see him sometimes in pitch hit situations last year, but now in his sophomore year, being asked to step in and really take a bigger role. And, I mean, he's running away with it so far. You saw a couple of players do that last year as well for Stanford. You always have that question and just wonder who's going to be that breakout type of person, right? Mm-hmm. And so far, Jimmy Nadai has definitely been that kind of guy.
Jimmy Nadai out of Sydney, Australia, leading the team in batting average, .411 on the season across 15 games, also leading in OPS, on base percentage, slugging percentage, hits, and doubles. That is a short list.
Well, and I think that's the thing too. You talk about it. It's not even just that high average; it's the damage that he's doing with the average, right? So you talk about that slugging percentage. I mean, 661 is absolutely incredible. And of course, you always want to have an OPS where you're in the thousands, and of course, he's over that as well. There aren't just the little dinks here and there, right? Like he's doing some damage with these hits.
Absolutely, and ahead in the count initially was Hayden Aoki on the mound for the Trojans, and then 2 balls right in a row. Good eye at the plate here, and now full count here, bottom of the first. Here's the payoff. Swinging a bouncing ball to third base, diving, and a dagger across the diamond, Hedges over to Carpentier, and the Trojans retire the Cardinal. 3 up, 3 down, and over to the second we go. We'll be back shortly. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Top of the second inning here. USC Trojans leading the Stanford Cardinal 1-0 in the top of the second. And coming up to bat for the Trojans, number 15, Ethan Hedges, third baseman, who just concluded the first inning with a putout. Now he will come up to the plate. Matt Scott on the mound still for the Cardinal. Faced 5 batters in the first inning, giving up 1 run and 2 hits, including that with a strikeout. Now he'll look to 3 up, 3 down. First pitch just misses. 1-0 the count now. Jordan, if you're Matt Scott coming off a shaky first inning, if you will, how do you recoup and get back in form this second?
Well, the one way you might want to look at it is even the 2 hits that were got off against you, it wasn't like they were the sharpest of contact, right, that got through the middle. It was good job, again, 2-strike approach there by USC to make things happen. So I honestly, I'd say, stick with what you've been doing. And this tough part is what USC's been doing such a good job of. Once they get to those 2-strike counts, shortening up that approach at the plate, just to put the ball in play no matter where they can. That's one of those things where sometimes, I know they like to say it on the pro level, right? It's like, hey, other team get paid too. So one of those things sometimes, hey, those other kids are on scholarship as well for a reason.
Bouncing ball to Becerra, bobbled, but a dagger over to first base. And the putout. So 1 up, 1 down. Hedges retired on a ground ball, and now up to the plate for the Trojans, number 29, Andrew Lamb, the designated hitter.
That's a good job there by Timo, because you had that first initial bobble. Sometimes that can really rush your clock and speed it up. No, it took his time. Got a strong, accurate throw on it to get the out.
I trust your defense, Scott, doing exactly that, letting the Trojans ball, and the outcome first out. And showing bunt now is Lamb. Not usually what you see from a designated hitter coming up and showing bunt. Lamb hitting 200 on the season. 590 OPS. Now he'll swing through it, and that is a long line drive foul, and the Cardinal will thank their lucky stars that he pulled that just a little bit too much.
Yeah, he might have been a little bit early on it.
Early, but seeing it well in a 92 mile an hour from Matt Scott. He'll reset now. 1-1 the count. Scott delivers in the dirt. No problem for Malcolm Moore, but nobody on base. Andrew Lamb now trying to get something started here for the Trojans as both settle in. And you mentioned the shadows earlier in the first inning, and we see them start to creep into the batter's box here. The dirt, 2-1 the count now for Matt Scott.
You know, the good news is overall, if you're a hitter, this isn't like one of your 3-level MLB stadiums here at Sunken Diamond, right? So for the most part, there isn't too much that can get in the way. But you see right there, I think that's some of the shadows from like the light towers here that are starting to creep in a little bit. So yeah, sometimes we'll see what happens a little bit later in the game, but we'll see if some of those hitters can still be able to pick that ball up, going in and out of the shadows there.
It was 3-1 the count. My apologies there, and swinging right through it. Full count here now to Andrew Lamb. Lamb, at the very least, doing a good job of getting deep into this at bat, forcing Scott into multiple pitches. And here's the payoff, a bouncing ball to first base. And Nadai says, I got it. 2 up, 2 down now for the Cardinal. Plate. Number 6, first baseman, Dean Carpenter.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what we were talking about before. Still pitched to that weak 2 strike contact. Now it's just the fortunate part of it is it's finding somebody, right? Now, of course, in that first inning, some of that contact, it found the holes.
First pitch low. Carpentier, freshman out of Huntington Beach, California. Last year, he was ranked 20th in California, 86th overall player in the state coming out of high school. So a big get here for the Trojans, and the freshman fouls it straight back behind the plate. And that's always a scary sight to see, because when somebody fouls a ball straight back like that, you know their timing's perfectly on. Just got a little under it.
Yeah, they're right on it. Tell you what, how insane is the talent in the state of California? You said he was 86 in the nation, but number 20 in the state. Like, that's just crazy to think of.
Looping single into center field, and getting it going for the Trojans is the freshman out of Huntington Beach.
And that's probably the best solid contact we've seen through these first 2 innings so far off of Matt Scott.
All 3 hits now, practically into center field, and now coming up, batting 9th, number 9, Carson Wells, the right fielder for USC, looking to get a 2-out rally going.
Remember last time in that first inning, USC had a runner on first. We had that wild pitch. Looks like we're not going to worry about that here. That's how they got the runner in scoring position, but we'll take the ground ball.
A hard hit ground ball, but Cobb in the right place for the Cardinal, and he'll go to first for the putout, a 4-3 putout to end the inning, and Stanford get out of that with just 4 batter space. 1-0, USC still in the lead. We'll head to the bottom of the second, and we will be back with you shortly. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Bottom of the second here. Trojans in the lead, 1-0. Beautiful funky diamond in Palo Alto, California. And leading off for the Stanford Cardinal, number 27, Brady Reynolds, the right fielder for the Stanford Cardinal, and he'll take high. 1-0 now to start bottom of the second. Cardinal giving up 1 run in the top of the first. Scoreless since then. Brady Reynolds looking to get something started here for the Cardinal. Like strike, 1-1 the count now. Reynolds, one of the 4 players batting over 300 on the year so far for the Cardinal. He's batting over 300. Batting 324, and he smacks that into right field. A looping ball just over the reach of second baseman Harrison. Reynolds, the leadoff single.
Well, there you go. That's what you like to see. And I mean, we talk about some of these young players for Stanford. It's always impressive to me when someone in their freshman year can go ahead and be impactful. You take a look at that. It was an outside pitch, and still just find us a way to just come around it and get it right around the glove of Harrison.
Beautiful opposite field. Takes what he's given, and he goes opposite field with it. Now, Trevor Haskins, shortstop, showing bunt. A beautiful bunt from Haskins. Nowhere to go but first. Borioki on the mound, and he'll put out Haskins, but sacrifice bunt from Trevor Haskins moves the runner.
I love it. I love it. We talked about USC and their average. Stanford's coming in batting 249. Again, this isn't the power-heavy team of Stanford in the past few years, but you find other ways to kind of go about things. Like, this is the Stanford team that we're used to seeing if you followed this program for so long. Great pitching, good defense, and then you find ways to manufacture runs when you can and when you need to.
Now with a runner in scoring position, number 11, Luke Lavin, the designated hitter, up to the plate trying to make something happen here for the Cardinal. First pitch, swing a foul ball behind home plate. 0-1 the count now.
Oh, that was a good one to do some damage with. Just missed it a little bit.
Lavin, the freshman out of Laguna Beach. Out of high school. 2-time Cal High All-State first team. That was junior and senior year of high school, and now he comes in freshman for the Cardinal. Swing through that one.
Change up.
Lavin having a tougher start his freshman season, batting 130 on the year so far. Trying to get it going. And a check swing, makes contact with it as it rolls down the first baseline. Unfortunate there for Lavin, but he does advance the runner.
Yeah, I tell you what, if I didn't know any better after what we just saw Trevor Haskins do with his sacrifice bunt attempt, I'd say that Luke Lavin was trying to one-up him there, but of course wasn't the situation there. It's one of those unfortunate circumstances and situations.
So with 2 outs and a runner on third, Timo Becerra, 6'1" junior out of Clovis, California, will try to tie this game up for the Cardinal. They're batting 231 on the year. Swinging through it. And with 2 outs, hitting 200. Runners on 2-6-1. Becerra did not appear in a game in 2022. Last year, he appeared in 28 games, started 11, batting .316 on the year. Now playing a bigger role for the Cardinal this season.
I mean, again, you look at this lineup for Stanford and see all the youth that's in it. You have 2 juniors, 1 senior. Outside of that, it's a lot of freshmen and sophomores. And again, even some of the sophomores outside of Malcolm Moore, for the most part in this lineup, weren't the big-time contributors a year ago for this team. So it's just impressive and remarkable of the turnover for David Esker, what he has going into this year at Stanford. But obviously, everyone sees the talent. There's a reason why they were picked second in the preseason polls to finish in the Pac-12.
Check swing there, checking down the first base line, and no swing called on the count now, and doing a good job. But in front of him is Galloway behind the plate for the Trojans. Runner on third with 2 outs. Now 3-1 the count. If you're Becerra, are you taking all the way here?
And you have 3-1. I think that it's got to be in one specific part of the zone for you to swing.
Here's the pitch.
Like that.
Right in his sweet spot. It finds the gap between left and center field. Reynolds will come home. Becerra safely into second. An RBI double for Timo Becerra, and he ties it up. We're locked even at 1.
And that's exactly what I mean. You want to make sure it's exactly the pitch that you're looking for where you can do damage. And he tried to get that one lower at the zone, left it a little too up. And that's just a good approach there by Becerra to find some room. And I like the aggressive base running there, too, getting a double out of that.
Absolutely. Becerra sliding safe into second. And now Ethan, hot center fielder, try to keep this 2-out rally happening. And center fielder batting .310 on the year. Two-out rally going. There with big lead off second, and checking the runner. Delivers just wide. Good eye there from Ethan Hott.
Now you said it. That is an absolutely great take. I pitched right just a bit outside.
1-1 the count there, and Hott takes what he thought is outside once again. Home plate umpire Patrick Riley agrees.
They always say there's only one person whose opinion matters.
2 strikes now. Hott, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runner on. Swings and a bouncing ball to shortstop. Routine play, but a close call at first, but they'll get the put out. Jackson over to Carpentier, and a runner left on base for the Cardinal, but the damage is done. The Cardinal tie it up here in the bottom of the second inning, and we will be back with you for top of the third. Hello, everybody, and welcome back for the top of the third. Matt Scott on the mound for the Cardinal.
Yeah, he's found some good success. I know it's tied at 1 right now. He's done a good job mixing and matching with some of his pitches. He's touched right around 95, and then you see some of that off speed going around 81, 82. And there's a reason why he's had such a solid start to this year and why he's right now in that slot slated for the Friday night starter for Stanford. And to his credit, this is where he wants to be now. You gave up the early run. Now your offense has helped you out to get it back to a tie game. You're looking for that shutdown inning here in the top of the third.
And he's found his form. Tougher top of the first, allowing that 1 run, facing 5 batters in the first and then 4 in the second. So he'll look to keep counting that down and go for 3 in the third here. Matt Scott delivers in a bounce ball to second base, and that will be Cobb. That eye, a 4-3 put out, and we didn't even get the chance to say that we were back at the top of the order for the Trojans. That was Austin over in the center fielder leading off for the Trojans. Now coming up to the plate, batting second for the Trojans, number 4, Jacob Galloway, catcher, hit a single to center field in his first at-bat in the first inning. Galloway, dangerous as ever right now in the middle of his hot streak.
And again, the reason why it was so impressive when you got that single was that two-strike approach, shortening up on that swing, just making sure he could do whatever he could to put it in play, and just found some room in the middle of the infield.
Galloway batting .393 on the season. Certainly had Scott's number in the first, but Scott getting ahead in the count. 0-1 now. Foul ball. 0-2 quickly to Galloway.
And again, you see right there, Scott doing a good job of changing up those speeds. Pulled the string there on the changeup right around 82. See, Galloway was just too far in front of it really to do anything with it.
This is exactly what you want for a batter like Galloway, who's in the middle of a hot streak, who's having an incredible year so far. You want to get ahead in the count. Now, Scott has a lot to work with here. And just like that, into the dirt, trying to get Galloway to chase. Galloway, good eye. 1-2 the count now.
And as it should be, 0-2 count. That pitch shouldn't be anywhere near the strike zone.
1-2 the count now. Are you expecting the same thing here for Scott?
Might be a little bit closer. Still might see if you want to chase. I mean, they just went downstairs. Maybe they go away here.
Scott delivers down and inside. Again, not close enough for Galloway. Wants to fight on that. Still plenty of room to work with here for Scott. 2-2 the count. And you can see Scott really, he doesn't have to pitch to him. He's not going to.
I mean, you saw it there, too. It looked like Malcolm Moore where he was lining up. He wanted to go outside as he is here, too.
Ground ball right back to Scott. Scott will flip it. That eye, and 2 up, 2 down so far for Matt Scott.
And that pitch before, you saw Malcolm Moore, they wanted it in the dirt, but it looked like he was trying to go more outside. That pitch was a little bit more located, at least to where I think Malcolm Moore was trying to set up. And you see, again, you get Galloway to roll over on it for the second out.
Plate for the Trojans, great Kevin G, left fielder. He flied out, foul ball in the first. Second pitch, so we didn't really get to see too much of an at-bat from Taguchi. Freshman out of San Diego, California, in his first year. Trojans, true freshman. Already behind on the count. Scott delivers for the 0-1. Just got that corner. That's some good framing there from Malcolm Moore.
I'll tell you what, another good sign too you want to see early on in the game for a pitcher. Matt Scott has not been afraid to pepper that strike zone in this game. I know that one gets into the dirt, but sitting right around, I believe it would be 45 pitches. And with that, 30 of those have been strikes, and a couple of others have been close too that I think, those calls have gone either way. But he's living around that strike zone right now.
Smart calls here. 1-2 the count now. Scott delivers and a long ball down the right field line. Foul. Lucky that was about to find the corner.
He might have been looking at a triple if that was fair.
And so we'll redo it. 1-2 the count. Taguchi wishes that would have stayed in bounds, but nonetheless, 1-2 the count. Top of the third, 2 outs here for Matt Scott and the Stanford Cardinal. She batting .225 on the season. He's slugging over 500, though. He's got the power on him, and in a 2-out situation, he's actually batting .333, so better in a 2-out situation. We'll see what he can do here with 2 outs. 1-2 the count. Scott delivers. Got him swinging. Matt Scott gets Taguchi his second strikeout on the game. And Scott will head to the dugout, and we will see you back for the bottom of the third. Hello, everybody, and welcome back for the bottom of the third. 1-1 the score, and the Cardinal up the plate. Owen Cobb, second baseman, batting ninth today for the Cardinal. And he will see his first at-bat of the game right now, and the first time for him facing Caden Aoki on the year.
You see the grill smoke that's coming in, too, from that right field patio area? Yeah, I talked about it before, about perfect days for baseball, so that's going to be a fly out in the center. But doesn't this feel like spring to you now? We're at baseball. You got the grill smoke coming in. It's a beautiful day. I mean, it's like, what, in the low 60s? I mean, mid 60s right now? What else could you want?
Absolutely. Nothing else. It smells like baseball,
There
and
you
it
go.
feels like baseball. There it is.
I tell you what, Ethan, one of these days we're going to call a game from out there so we can get some burgers and all that stuff. How about that? How do we work that into the contract?
We're all just drooling up here as we try to call this game here, but we'll get some burgers afterwards. And now up the plate for the Cardinal, number 22, Court McDonald, the left fielder, flat out center field in his first at-bat in the first inning. Lead off there for Stanford. We'll look to get going with one out. First pitch strike, 1-1 the count now, and Caden Aoki getting ahead of it.
Always fun to see that second time through the batting order, both for the hitters and the pitcher, and that chess match that makes baseball so much fun. Who adjusts first? Then who makes the adjustment to the adjustment? So let's see right now what happens, because remember, that top three, the lineup for Stanford, they went 3 up, 3 down to start the game.
Need not forget it was a long fly ball for Court McDonald, the deepest part of the yard. Had it been somewhere else, might have been saying goodbye. Nonetheless, it stayed in bounds, and now McDonald looked for his first hit of the game, and beautiful pitch there, but McDonald, a great eye. 3-1 the count now to Court McDonald, and a lot of this chess match, I think, just forcing pitchers, Friday night pitchers, into more and more and a higher pitch count, and McDonald draws a walk. First of the game that we've seen for any team. Base on balls for Court McDonald. He'll head to first.
That's the 8th time this year he's drawn that walk, and again, that's the one thing. Obviously, you want to see the high average from your leadoff hitter, which he has, hitting 300 plus coming into today's game. But finding ways, even if you aren't swinging well, sometimes it's also, can you draw those walks and you have that good eye? I mean, I know we see it just across the way here at Stanford softball, right? Taryn Kern leads off for Stanford softball, and she didn't have the start of the year that she wanted to get to her bat start to pick up as of late, but she still leads the team in on-base percentage, right? Because of her ability, whether it's to get hit by pitches or draw a walk. No matter what, you always want to find that way to get on base as the leadoff hitter.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of baseball. It doesn't have to be a hit. You can find your ways to get on base and help your team. Now, Malcolm Moore, number 10, up the plate for the Cardinal. He struck out in his first at-bat and taking a big lead off of first base, Court McDonald. Moore pops it up to third base. Catching it foul is Hedges. So McDonald will go back to first. Moore. Over 2 now on the day. He'll head back to the dugout.
He wants that one back.
Absolutely. Now 2 outs, and Jimmy Natai, number 6, first baseman here for the Stanford Cardinal. And if there's anybody you want with a runner on and 2 outs, might be Natai.
Yeah, hitting 458 this year with runners on, 500 with 2 outs. Again, all that tells me is, again, someone that's not going to – ooh, did they get him? Yes,
Looking
they did.
to
Wow.
go, and they get him. Picking him off. Galloway behind the plate. Saw it all the way. McDonald has been taking those big leads, both with Moore and Natai up on the plate, and Natai now doesn't even get the chance to bring him home. Galloway with a pickoff for USC, and just like that, Stanford Cardinal leave one stranded again. We will head to the top of the 4th and be back with you shortly. Hello, everybody. Welcome back for the top of the fourth. Sarah Ash alongside Jordan Watkins on commentary, and USC and Stanford locked at 1. Trojans going up 1-0 in the first, and then the Cardinal tying it up in the second. And now, as we kick off top of the fourth, coming up to the plate for the Trojans, cleanup hitter number 13, Ryan Jackson, who hit a single in the first inning. RBI single drove home Galloway for that one and only run for the Trojans, and he'll swing through that first pitch. 0-1 the count now, and a good job once again for Matt Scott on the mound for the Cardinal. Get ahead in the count. Scott on the pitch right down the middle, and taking all the way was Jackson. So a quick 0-2 now for Scott. 94-mile-an-hour fastball right down pike. Jackson will have to protect now. Scott on the 0-2. Delivers 3 pitches, got him swinging.
Good morning, good afternoon, and a good night.
His third of the game, and Scott ended the third inning on a strikeout. Now starting this fourth inning with a strikeout. Matt Scott finding his form in this game. Now plate for the Trojans, number 2, Becky Harrison, the second baseman, who also struck out in the first inning. Yeah, high fly ball. Foul. So we will go again, but nonetheless, once again, Matt Scott getting ahead in the count. 0-1 now. Second batter, he's been able to jump ahead on the count.
Yeah, he's being aggressive. I mean, he has 4 pitches now in this inning. All 4 have been for strikes. Exactly, like I said, it's what you want to see. He's not afraid to be in and around the zone early on in this game. I know that one just missed high. That's a big part of the reason for his success. Again, you look at what he did last week. He was a Pac-12 pitcher of the week, went 7 innings, only gave up 1 run on 3 hits up in Washington. Seems like he's picking up where he left off for the most part.
Harrison smacks it into the gap between first and second, and he'll reach.
What was that you said about an announcer's jinx?
We're 2 for 2 today. Now coming up to the plate with 1 on and 1 out. Third baseman, number 15, Ethan Hedges. Hedges, his first bat, grounded out to third base. Now he comes up with 1 on and 1 out. Try to bring Harrison home, and USC, the runner on base for the first time in a couple innings, and they were aggressive before this. We'll see if they stay aggressive and try to send the runner.
Yeah, one thing that's been fun about this, especially from the USC side of things, to your point, they're playing small ball at the plate. They're also trying to keep Stanford away from doing small ball when they're on defense, right? We saw them throw behind the runner, McDonald, to end that bottom of the third inning. Here they go again.
Here they go. Moore with a dagger. And Malcolm Moore, what a throw. He read that all the way. Harrison going. He didn't get a good jump on it. And Malcolm Moore, perfectly placed ball. Let's take a look at that.
You saw when they ran on him a little earlier, he threw it over towards the third base side of the bag, and I mean this one, that was almost absolutely no chance.
That's exactly what you want.
Yep.
Second baseman or your shortstop, not really move to apply the tag right into the path of the runner. That one will just bounce. Foul, like you mentioned, a lot of foul territory here, so everything was in play. Hedges. Now the situation changes. Instead of 1 on and 1 out, nobody on and 2 out for Ethan Hedges here.
And if you're Matt Scott as well, now you can go back from the full instead of going from the stretch. Nobody on over at first.
Is batting 176 on the year, and he fouls that straight back. I've already said before, see that, you know that batter is right on timing.
Yeah, I've been impressed with even if it hasn't resulted in hits every single time, I've been impressed with USC's two-strike approach at the plate. They make things difficult, try to fight for that extra pitch, foul things off if you need to.
Check swing. And a good eye there from Hedges. Some disagreement from the stands. You could even maybe even hear that through this stream. But full count now. Matt Scott will look to put this away.
Well, according to what we have here, it looks like that was the right call.
Here's the payoff.
There you go.
And he got him. And it looks like Hedges disagrees. But he got him nonetheless. And the backwards K to end the inning. Matt Scott tallies his 4th strikeout on the day. And the Cardinal will head to the plate. We'll be back with you for the bottom of the 4th. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the bottom of the 4th. Tarash alongside Jordan Watkins and locked at 1 here at the Sunken Diamond in Palo Alto, California. Trojans tallying 1 in the 1st, Stanford tallying 1 in the 2nd, scoreless since then. And Caden Aoki on the mound for the Trojans has been able to keep Stanford 2 hits total this game, and Cardinal will try to change that now and swinging a bounce ball foul. Leadoff hitter Jimmy Nadai.
I'm pretty sure I say this every single time I'm at Sunken Diamond. I already know Julia, she's over here sitting to the right of me. She's going to roll her eyes when I say it because she hears it so much. This is my favorite time of the game because the junior announcer is in here. We got Lincoln that's in here doing the PA. Always pretty cool to hear that.
It's always fun to hear the junior announcer.
Oh, yeah.
Credit to them. They do better than a lot
There
of
you
people
go.
could do, really. There we go.
That Captain America hoodie, I believe.
I think it is. Next, Jeff Knox on the PA here for the Cardinal, and 0 to the count here to Jimmy Nadai. Got 1 low, 1-2 the count.
About that great camera work that we have, too. Not only did they, obviously they're paying attention to what we're saying, they did such a great job of making sure it didn't pan over a little bit more because there's this one face that you don't want to see on TV. They kept it that way.
Wonder who that one face could be.
Oh, it's me. It's me.
Here's the pitch, swinging through it. Aoki had Nadai totally twisted up, reaching for it was Nadai. Aoki once again with the strikeout. His 2nd of the day. And a pitching duel it is. Aoki, as I said, has kept the Cardinal just 2 hits on the day, and now coming up to the plate. Cleanup hitter number 27, Brady Reynolds.
He's looking like that all Pac-12 level type of pitcher that you talked about we saw last year from him. And again, doing such a good job. Like, he's not really doing too much in terms of overpowering hitters, but using locations and a lot of movement. I mean, again, I talked about that back foot slider he had to Malcolm Moore in the 1st inning. It almost looked like a similar pitch to get Nadai there as well. Just now a hitter that's a right-handed hitter instead of the lefty. And you see the different quadrants of the zone and just all the different areas right now that Aoki's using.
Right-hander facing Reynolds, the lefty. Reynolds will take a strike. Mentioned the accolades from Aoki. See why. Been absolutely dominant so far today. Foul ball back behind. 1-2 the count now to Brady Reynolds. Reynolds, 6'1" freshman from Bakersfield. Has competed with Team USA back in his days, 15. Pitch, swinging on that third pitch, strike. Galloway behind the plate for the Trojans will take care of that. So Reynolds is retired. 2 up, 2 down, and specifically 2 up and 2 strikeouts for Caden Aoki.
That bottom is just absolutely falling out once it gets to the plate. You've seen a couple of pretty nasty swings and misses now. Some of the off speed. Because, again, for the most part, Aoki's been sitting around anywhere from about 80, 81 to about 90, 91. So, again, it's not that it's overpowering. Just doing a good job of locating and really switching up pitches in certain situations.
Same pitch there to get Nadi and Reynolds, was it?
Yeah, pretty similar. And that's the thing, too, that it's impressive. It doesn't matter if you're a righty or a lefty. It's finding a way to fool you no matter what.
Once again, changing it up. 89 miles an hour. Get Trevor Haskins swinging. Haskins had that sacrifice bunt that moved Reynolds over. Now Haskins, it's a high fly ball, chasing it as well as in right field, and he'll get there to end the inning. And so, 3 up, 3 down. It's a pitcher's duel indeed. Caden Aoki retires the side for the Stanford Cardinal, and now Matt Scott will take the mound once again for the Stanford Cardinal as we head to the top of the 5th, and we will be back with you shortly for that. Hello, everybody, and welcome back for the top of the 5th. Matt Scott on the mound. 4 strikeouts on the day so far.
Yeah, he's done a great job. Again, that fastball's been touching around 95, and even when someone gets on base, outside of that first inning, you see the defense that he has behind him as well. I mean, that was an absolutely perfect throw from Malcolm Moore going down to second when USC was trying to get an extra 90 feet there. So it's like we talked about before, Stanford really getting back into what they've been known for so long, that good pitching and that good defense as well.
Absolutely, and coming up to the plate now, Andrew Lamb for the Trojans. Grounded his first at bat in the second inning. Trojans have been aggressive on offense. Every base runner they have had, they have sent to steal second. More recently, getting quite the put out that we just saw, throwing out Kia Harrison, 4th inning. trying to steal second base. Now Andrew Lamb will look to get something going for the Trojans. The Trojans 4 hits on the day, but they haven't tallied anything since the first inning. Their one run coming in the first and swinging right through it is Andrew Lamb. 1-2 the count now to Matt Scott, and I feel like I'm going to be a broken record, but I'll say it again once again ahead in the count.
That's what's so fun about this matchup, though. You look at what Scott's been doing, and then also Aoki for USC. Again, two pitchers with two different styles. Again, see Scott there. That's about 2 pitches in a row. He's topped out around 95. So being able to blow it by guys a little bit more. Of course, Aoki, we talked about it. It's the stuff, right? The breaking pitches, the location, the change-ups. But either way you want to look at it, still a 1-1 game and a really good pitching outing right now for both guys.
Pitching duel indeed, and Lamb
Did I do it again?
smacks it to the opposite field. Bounces up against the wall. Playing that against the wall is McDonald into the relay. And Lamb has a leadoff double.
Okay, no more compliments for me.
Opposite field. The lefty with some power on that.
That a good bit of carry, and of course, here at Sunken Diamond, once the sun starts to set, the ball usually doesn't fly here as well as it does during the day. But again, to your point, as a lefty for Lamb, you can get one into the gap that far the other way. That's some good power on it.
Now, plate number 6, Dean Carpentier, the first baseman for Stanford, for the USC Trojans. He's 1 for 1 on the day, a single to center field. Now he comes up, showing bunt now. Both of these teams playing smart at the plate, but they're might be limited baseball. It's Friday night baseball. 1-0 the count now, checking the runner on second and showing bunt once again. Nice. Is Carpentier down the first base line, and I will take that easy out at first, but the job is done. Andrew Lamb moved over to third base. That's a good bunt there, laid down. Absolutely.
You come to the plate there, you only have one thing in mind. Get this bunt over onto the right side of the infield, and that is a great job there by Carpentier to get that done. And now here we go, USC. This is the best chance you've really had to score since that first inning. So many different possibilities for you now when you have a runner 90 feet away from home plate and just one out.
Now we'll have a chat on the mound, coming out to talk with Matt Scott. And what do you think is being said here, this conversation?
I think a big part of it, too, is you're talking about the defensive alignments of how you want to deal with this. The runner on third. Maybe, again, it's, hey, we're going to try to get the ground ball here. If it's hit here, maybe it's hit certain force. Let's go home with it. It was just some of those defensive tactics, right, that you're kind of going through. And then, of course, you want to make sure as well that Matt Scott and Malcolm Moore are on the same page with what you want to go with. Because, again, if you're going to – I think the one thing, too, I know people always love to talk about, especially in the last few years, right, about the shift, especially at the MLB level, right? Mm-hmm. People didn't like it and, all the analytics behind it. But the thing is, when you line a defense up, you have to make sure that your pitcher and catcher are on the same page, too. Because if all of a sudden you throw a pitch where it's going to force a result where your defense isn't lined up, then, of course, you get some bad results there. So just making sure everybody's on the same page.
Now, dare I ask your thoughts and feelings on the shift?
I would say, the thing for me, and again, this is as someone who grew up in Atlanta. I watched the Braves. I've seen Freddie Freeman for so long, right? And I know he's with the Dodgers now. But I see guys like Freddie Freeman who are so good at using the whole field. Right? It's like that's what your job is. Of course, the defense is their job to take hits away from you. Mm-hmm. So find a way to beat it.
Seeing that already in this inning, Andrew Lamb going opposite field. Now coming up to plate, Carson Wells, right fielder for the Trojans. He grounded out to second base in his first and only at bat game. Now up 0-1 so far on the day versus Matt Scott. Strikeout would be just so key in this situation. A runner on third, one out. Tie game.
This is interesting to me. You see Stanford's defensive alignment on the infield. Everybody's in. Like, usually, this is something that you might see more so if it's a one-run game in like the 7th, 8th, 9th inning. Right, but here we are in the 5th. Again, we talk about how runs are at a premium, not just tonight, but I mean overall for both of these teams coming into this series. Stanford's really trying to hold this to 1-1.
Here's the 1-1. Just as you say that, you can see Becerra, the third baseman for the Cardinal, just racing in as Scott's delivering that pitch. Some indication that if this ball is hit in the infield, they're going to go home. 1-2 the count now. Runner on third, 1 out. 2 strikes for Matt Scott. As I said, a strikeout would be so big in this situation with just 1 out. 1-2. High, and you can see Andrew Lamb on third base just trying to mess with Matt Scott as much as he can, faking that he's going to go home. Of course, Scott, the righty, facing third base right now.
Do whatever you can just to. You're in that line of sight right over at third base, so you can distract him a little bit.
Scott delivers. Hit high and deep to left field. Tagging is Lamb. The throw will not be in time, and sacrifice fly. RBI for Carson Wells. Andrew Lamb will come home, and the Trojans take the lead 2-1.
That's the perfect example of get them on, get them over, and get them in. Again, this is what we talked about, all the different options that are available to you. You have a runner at third, and just that 1 out. I mean, it's good job by USC. Lamb, again, showing that power the other way for the double, the great sacrifice bunt. Didn't get a sac fly.
Smart, as they call it, small ball. Smart baseball here from the Trojans, being aggressive. Now to the plate. Leadoff hitter, number 10, Austin Overn, center fielder. 0 for 2 on the day, a fly out to right field and a ground out to second base. Now he'll come up to the plate for the third time here in the 5th. Overn hitting .230 on the year. Hitting just 200 in 2-out situations. Scott on the 1-0. Low and outside, 2-0 now to Overn. Overn, we've mentioned again, leads the team in home runs. He's got some power on him despite being the leadoff hitter, and he smacks that into the gap into right center field, rounding third base, and he'll head back, or first base, he'll head back. So the Trojans are rolling.
Now, sometimes there are certain swings and certain contact where it just has that sound. And over and on that one, it just had that sound. You talk about someone being all over a pitch. And again, like we said, for the most part of this game against Matt Scott, it hasn't been that much hard contact, but we've seen 2 instances of that in this inning, though, with that double and now that hard hit single for USC.
Down Stanford bullpen, there's nobody warming up in there that we can see. So this is Scott's mess to get out of there, and they'll rely on this Friday night pitcher to get out of the jam. 2 outs and 1 on. Up the plate, Jacob Galloway, catcher. 1 for 2 on the day. Single into center field in the first inning, and then he grounded out right back to Matt Scott, pitcher on the mound in the 3rd inning, and now up with 1 on and 1 out. And you can see Scott checking the runner, and for good reason. USC has been extremely aggressive.
Yeah, Austin over and on the year, 5 of 7 on the base paths. Again, we see that. I think it's about 4 times now they've thrown over, which has been interesting because, to your point, Sarah, usually I think if you see this, you're buying time for somebody in the bullpen, but nobody over there. So with 2 outs, you'd think the focus would be more at the plate, and there he goes.
That's why Overn goes. Another dagger of a throw, but just not in time. Malcolm Moore, another great throw down to second base, but again, not in time. Overn got a good jump despite multiple checks there from Scott. He got a good jump on that.
No, he absolutely did. And again, that's pretty impressive because it was another great throw. You see where that throw was from Malcolm Moore. So if he didn't get a good jump on that one, who knows if Joe Maiden would have been able to ring him up there at second. That's a beautiful off-speed pitch there, too.
Strong base running here for USC. You could argue that base running has so far been difference maker and what has put them in the lead. USC leaving 2 runners stranded in the escape state, but only leaving 1. Bounce the ball and pitching duel indeed, but plenty of baseball left to play. 1 and 2 the count, 2 out, runner on second base now. You don't expect over and steal third, but with the way USC have been playing, anything's really on the table.
Yeah, I think you're going to see the small ball approach here coming again. There's that gap over on the left side. Let's see if they go the other way.
Him just messing back and forth. Scott decides to give it a rest. He'll step off the mound. Now check the signals. 1 and 2 the count. 2 outs. Here's the pitch.
I hit him. Yeah.
Hit him on the elbow. So walk for Galloway. Still nobody seemingly in the pen for the Cardinal. It looks like we might have a bit of a timeout here. Coming up to the plate for the Trojans, number 8, Kevin Gucci.
Yeah, I think David Esker is probably asking home plate umpire Patrick Riley here if he really thought that Galloway did enough to get out of the way of that pitch. We take a look at the replay here. Yeah, it looked like he did put that elbow out there a little bit.
There was no direct movement to try to move the elbow. We'll say that.
Yeah, it looked like he tried to stick it out just a bit. So I think that's exactly what, I think even to an extent that Matt Scott kind of gestured towards home plate about that as well as soon as it first happened, but I don't think they're going to get anything changed here.
Conversation, but that will be all. Let's look at that.
Yeah, watch this last second right here with that right elbow. I see you just sticking it out just a bit.
Well, as you said before, only one person's opinion matters today, and it's not ours. So, Matt Scott finds himself with 2 out, 2 on. Now, pitch out of this jam. Kevin Gucci flied out. First base, first inning, struck out in the 3rd inning. 0 for 2 on the day.
See, that's always been the thing for me, though, where I get it. You have a runner on second here. Of course, he stole second. But in these situations, there he goes again. A great jump there by Over to steal third. My approach has always been when you have 2 strikes, the only person that really matters is who's at the plate.
We said everything's on the table. Could Over and take third, and there he goes. Took third, and difficult situation there as Malcolm Moore couldn't really get that throw off. Of course, it's extremely difficult when a runner tries to steal third, and then there's also a right batter trying to get that throw around batter. A bit too much, so they'll let him pass to third base, and now runners on the corner. 0 and 2 the count. Here's the pitch. Now runner goes, but it doesn't matter. Scott tallies his 5th strikeout of the day, and he gets out of the jam, but the damage is done. USC tallies their first run since the 1st inning. And now they lead the Stanford Cardinal 2-1. We will head to the bottom of the 5th, and we will be back with you shortly. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. The bottom of the fifth, Trojans in the lead 2-1, and largely due to Aoki and this strong defense of the Trojans so far.
Yeah, again, we talk about it. The ability to use all different parts of the strike zone is really what's helped Caden Aoki so far in this game. And as you saw there, that nice running grab by Wells over in right field. Even when Stanford's able to make contact, the USC defense has been up to snuff. I mean, they come in, they've only had the 15 errors this year in, I believe, in 16 games and a 972 field percentage. So, again, two solid defensive teams that I know we talked about in the open, and USC's put that on display.
USC and Aoki, Caden Aoki on the mound, holding the Cardinal right now to just 2 hits across 4 innings. The Cardinal trying to change that now. When you look at the lines here, of course, Trojans in the lead 2-1. 6 hits for USC and just 2 for the Cardinal. Efficient, though, for the Cardinal. 2 hits and 1 run. Just getting out of the way. Side, yeah, that had the movement on it. 1-2 the count now. Luke Lavin trying to make something happen. The designated hitter here for Cardinal. Leading off the inning, 1-2 the count. Here's the pitch. Check swing in the dirt. Good take there from Lavin.
No, that is absolutely a really good take. That's the same pitch that we've seen a couple strikeouts now that Aoki's been able to use against some of these lefties that really drops down in the dirt once it gets to the plate. But good take.
The 2-2 and taking. A risky take from Lavin, but it pays off. 3-2 the count now. Just misses, says home plate umpire Patrick Riley. Full count. Here's the payoff. Swinging and finding the gap just past the diving glove of Harrison. Lavin with a leadoff single. Start off the 5th inning.
Sometimes it's at bats like that that can really get not even just a player going, but a whole team going. I mean, again, you talked about a full count, some tough takes that were there, and then you just hit it where they ain't, right? That's what they say. Good piece of hitting. We saw USC. Remember, that's how they got going in that first inning. It was softer contact up the middle, but contact nonetheless on a good 2-strike approach. And so let's see if it works out for Stanford here too.
Lavin, the designated hitter, reaches base, having a more difficult start of the season in terms of batting average, but being able to reach base in other capacities, and now strong hit, kick off this 5th inning, and now plate for the Cardinals. 2, Timo Becerra, third baseman. 1 for 1 on the day, a double in 2nd inning. He was left stranded, singular runner that Stanford has left stranded on the day. No out, 1 on, and showing bunt is Becerra. Will continue with the smart small ball, as they call it. Cardinal trying to move the runner over for that sacrifice bunt, especially in the bottom of the lineup. See this a lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially the standpoint of think about what just worked for USC, right? The top half of this inning, of course, that started with the double, then you had the bunt, but yeah, whatever it takes to get that run over and really put yourself in a good situation.
They're batting .292 with runners in scoring position. Shows bunt again. Didn't want him to see that, so 1-1 the count now. Sarah taking that one all the way. Checking the runner, delivers, showing bunt once again as Becerra bunts it foul. 2 strikes now. And if you're Becerra, do you show bunt again?
Probably won't here, and I wanted to say too, the thing with Aoki, we talked about his movement earlier, how he's been able to get some strikeouts with it. Also pretty hard to bunt when that ball's tailing away from you like the way that it's been. I think that's one of the other big reasons. Like, of course, you trust probably Timo Becerra to get a bunt down if you want him to, but the way that Aoki's pitching, it just makes it so difficult to do that with strikes. Just showing it here.
Lavin has some speed on first base. Aoki checking him a couple times in a row. Surprised to see him. Perhaps hit and run is on here with 1-2 count, no out. Lavin takes his lead. Aoki checks. Becerra showing bunt again. Here's the pitch. Becerra pulls it back, takes one in the dirt. The chess game that we love, that is the game of baseball. 2-2 the count now. Both pitchers taking their time, taking that full 20-second pitches. Check runners, check their signs. 2-2. Lavin takes the lead. Aoki delivers. Becerra. Double play ball. Jackson scoops it up, steps on second, and flipped it over to Carpentier for the double play. So grounding into a double play, and that's not what you want if you're the Stanford Cardinal, wasting the leadoff single as Becerra grounds into a double play.
One thing about Aoki, too, as well, it's been so impressive. I know I talked about it in terms of the strikeouts, but just even in general, he's done a good job of living near the bottom of the zone in this game for Stanford. Again, you see it there. He needed a big-time ground ball, and he got it.
And suddenly, set of 1 on and no outs. Nobody on and 2 outs, and a check swing checking down the first base line. First base umpire Christopher Gonzalez says he went 0-1 the count now to Ethan Hott, center fielder. Hott 0-1 on the day, and he'll take a second pitch strike. So quick 0-2 now to Aoki. Looked like he was in a jam for a second, but quickly out of it with that double play ball. Now Hott trying to get something going with 2 out.
And they call him a pitcher's best friend for a reason.
Here's the pitch. Hott, a line drive to third base, but Hedges in the right place at the right time. And he just barely leaves his feet to get that. And that is it. So some hope for the Cardinal, but then a double play and a line drive. And that's been the story so far. Defense for the Trojans, and they are up 2-1 as we head to the top of the 6th.
A beautiful afternoon turning into a great evening here at Sunken Diamond. Getting to the top of the 6th inning, USC in front 2-1. And what has been a very well-pitched ball game between the two starters, Caden Aoki for USC and Matt Scott for Stanford. Right now sitting at 80 pitches. He will go up against the middle 3 in the order for USC here in the top 6. First pitch a little low, ball 1. So Ryan Jackson, 1 for 2 today. Got the party started, at least scoring-wise. Back in that top of the first, had an RBI single. Also struck out as well. Count now even 1-1.
Scott getting himself a bit of a jam in the previous inning. Mentioned 80 pitches. short inning right now would be exactly what not only he needs, but the Stanford Cardinals defense.
You want to give that offense any chance possible to tie it up, potentially take the lead. You want to leave this deficit right now at 1. Two 1 count right now. Still very early on in the season for both of these teams in terms of conference play. Stanford started off Pac-12 play on the road, take 2 of 3 at Washington. USC, they were at home and lost that series to Arizona. It was a 4-game series. They fell short in 3 of those 4. They did get the win back on March 1st. That was a 4-1 win against the Wildcats.
Off, pitch right down the middle, get the full count for Scott.
Payoff, fouled off. And it will reach the stands. And now we get to see all the kids take off, see who can get there first.
Done with burgers, and now we have to catch the fly ball. That's how it goes.
You got to run it off some kind of way, right?
And this is what UFC has been, all Trojan getting in the count multiple times here with Matt Scott, forcing him not only into more pitches, but just see more. They fall behind initially, climbing back.
Payoff number 2. Foul back, good cut. Never easy to time up 94 up in the zone like that, but Jackson doing as much as he can to stay alive.
Ready with a single on the day. Scott so far has the last word, though. Last time up, Scott struck him out in the 4th.
Another payoff. Swung, and that's pretty well hit over into left. Coming in and not making the play was McDonald. That's going to get to the wall. Jackson's going to round second. He's going for 3, and he will be in there with the pop-up slide. It's going to be a leadoff triple for the Trojans here in the top of the 6th.
And McDonald got aggressive with it. Thought he could get there in time, and instead of just playing it safe and letting it bounce in front of him for what would have been single or a double. Let's look at that here. Looping ball, and it just dropped. McDonald just mistiming it instead of playing it safe, like I said.
He saw it last minute there. It looked like he was trying to get his feet right to make that catch on the run, and might have just cost him a little bit as the ball was slicing away from him.
See how close his feet were to it.
Well, Sarah, we talked about last inning all the options that you have with a runner on third and 1 out. You have even more options with a runner on third and nobody out.
I would say all of the options in the world
exactly.
Here. Difficult situation now for Scott, though. Of course, Malcolm Moore behind the plate. Careful. It also eliminates. Do get ahead in the count. Matt Scott could potentially be a bit handcuffed, not really being able to throw that ball in the dirt with runner on third. You don't want that pass ball.
Is some action right now in the Stanford bullpen. I know we had been looking at that a little earlier as Harrison's a little bit late on the 94-mile-an-hour fastball. I think I see a 34 out there. That'll be Trevor Moore, the sophomore righty. The 1-2. In the dirt. Good stop there by Moore.
And Scott getting ahead in the count. Trojans here doing a good job of pitch that they need to take, climb back to it. Crucial moment in the game here is runs are hard to come by, and Cardinal needs this to a 1-run game.
Just inside. And sometimes that is that pressure that you feel as a pitcher know you have an offense that's still trying to figure some things out, and you want to give them the best chances as much as possible. It's a sticky situation right now for Stanford as that one's fouled back, but we'll do full count once again.
Matt Scott most likely pitching for that strikeout, but a ground ball in this infield could do. Either hold the runner or go home. Another full count.
Gone upstairs a good amount of times when he needs that big strike three. Let's see if he goes here again. Here's the payoff. Swing, foul, tip, strike three.
And that's exactly what he needed. A big strikeout here for Matt Scott.
93 on the outside black for Matt Scott. A big-time strikeout there, as you mentioned, Sarah. So here you are, still some trouble to deal with. Got the first out, but still that runner at third base is now Ethan Hedges will take his swings. 0 for 2 so far, grounded out to third. Also struck out looking as well. USC right now trying to do whatever they can, not even just to get an insurance run here, but and even with the game that Matt Scott's been pitching, try to find a way to get the Stanford ace out as well. Now back.
Feel Scott's taking a little bit more time as he continues to climb in that pitch count. Perhaps fatigue just setting in a little bit.
Definitely slowing things down a little bit. Make sure you get the exact pitch that you want and need. 1-1 count. Fouled off again. One thing I've noticed too, I think this has changed up. Maybe it's just an inning to inning thing, but one of the new things of technology with baseball, especially with college, in the MLB level, you have the pitch com where it's the audio. But I believe what a lot of the teams use now, we see it in softball too, it's more visual in terms of what the players wear on their wristbands. It looks like now Stanford's gone back to more of the natural catcher signage for the pitches. Fly ball to center is going to be plenty deep enough to get the run home. As Hott will make the grab, and easily coming home to score will be Jackson. And USC does it again. They get a runner at third, find a way to get him home, and they take that lead up to 3-1.
More smart baseball here for USC, and that's what happens when you get in a jam. And take a look at the replay here. It gets under it, but how under it he got, kind of incredible how much power Hedges was able to get on that, and easily tagging was Jackson, especially what Jackson has on the bases. No question there.
Second sacrifice fly of the game now for USC. There's a first pitch strike into Lamb, who's doubled and come around to score. That was back in the fifth.
Beautiful off there to start this at bat. Looks like Stanford are going to let Matt Scott ride this out a little longer.
Grounder over to second, as Cobb will take care of it for out at number 3. But before that happens, USC gets that insurance run they've been looking for off the sacrifice fly, thanks to in help to the leadoff triple. We go to the bottom of the 6th. We'll see if Stanford can answer it. They're down 3-1. USC adds one in the top of the 6th. Stanford going to look to match it at least. And it'll all start off with Owen Cobb before we go back to the top of the lineup. It's 3 hits so far for Stanford through 5 frames. 1 run across. Owen Cobb showing bunt, pulls back for strike 1. Meanwhile, right now for USC, 3 runs on 7 hits. Both teams playing errorless baseball up to this point. USC's left 4 on base. Stanford 1. That's kind of been the big part of the story right now, Sarah. We talked about, too, how USC's been so good at manufacturing runs, and maybe this is a way Stanford can do it as well. There is the bunt single by Owen Cobb to start us off.
Yeah, Hedges trying to barehand that at third. Just no time to do anything else. That's the only option he's really left with. And just slipping out of his hand. And let's take a look at that. Surprise bunt down that third base line. And sometimes you just need a little bit of luck. Oh, Cobb with the speed bunts it down the third base line. He gets away with one, reaches.
Yeah, nothing too much there Ethan Hedges could do. He had to go with that barehanded play if he had a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, ruled a single there, as it should be. 4th hit now of the game for Stanford, and we're back to the top of the lineup. Court McDonald. Of course, right now, if you're Court, this is one of those situations. Now, it wasn't ruled an error, it wasn't an error, but the play out in left field that led to the leadoff triple, you know he's going to want to make up for it here if he can.
Cobb on base, 8 stolen bases last year. He got some speed.
Not going here, but you see the pitch out. Try to throw behind the runner again. We have seen USC use that, and that's actually how they ended that 3rd inning when they got Court McDonald over at first base. Owen Cobb is back.
Smart play, though, from the Trojans.
Cobb staying foul, tip back into the mitt of Galloway. Counts even 1-1. We talked about it a good bit, Sarah. I think this matchup and what makes it so much fun is that, again, you have 2 offenses. They're trying to find their way, find that rhythm and groove. And so because of that, you have to see some more of, again, some of that old school baseball really be in play. And so it's also you're trying to anticipate when that small ball comes to play, right? We've seen the pitch outs from USC. We've seen the bunts, the sacrifice flies. You know, it hasn't really been too much about the power game that you might see from some teams. Of course, like what you have seen from Stanford in the last few years.
Absolutely. This is about strategy. This is just playing piece by piece baseball and hoping to be the team that can outthink the other team as the USC bullpen starting to get going. And I'd be surprised if we saw anybody. Caden Aoki absolutely shut down pitching right now against the Stanford Cardinal. 3 strikes on the day, but he faced 18 batters and given up just 4 hits.
I believe that's pitch 65 as it's in the dirt, and Owen Cobb aggressively taking second base on it. So Stanford in a situation where they haven't been in too many times today. They have a runner in scoring position and nobody out.
As we take a look at this, and the throw just a little bit late and a little bit offline. Cobb got a good jump on that, and I think even if that throw had been online, we would have had a pretty close call there.
And that's just a good read. One of those where once you make a decision, you got to stick with it. Either you go or you don't. Cobb at second now. Good eye, a little low, little away. Count is full.
Mentioned that neither team can really rely on that power right now. This is a chess match. This is strategic baseball, and within that, part of that is both of these teams, all of the batters, getting really deep into account.
Payoff it the other way. Little bit of carry to it, but not enough. As right in front of the warning track is Takuchi making the grab. But look at Owen Cobb again, being aggressive on the base paths, find his way over to third base. How about that from your senior leader on this team, finding a way now to get to third?
And that's not just being aggressive. What I'll say that also is doing your homework, knowing that Takuchi might not have the best arm out there in left field. As you can see, Takuchi couldn't get that ball and needed that relay. So good base running there from Owen Cobb.
And also, since he was going back on the run, really couldn't get behind that ball, right, to get some more force on it, to your point. So heads up play there. And now Stanford has exactly who they would want at the plate, in my opinion, to do some damage with just one out and runner at third base as Malcolm Moore's at the plate.
Malcolm Moore already this year. Golden Spike Award, watch list, countless accolades here, and as well, we've noted, leading the team in home runs.
Fastball, a bit outside. And that might be the hardest pitch or fastest pitch I think I've seen Caden Aoki throw today. Hasn't been doing it by overpowering players. It's been more with that change of locations. You see Xavier Martinez warming up. And then there you go right there. So we're talking about pulls the string on more with the changeup. It's 2-1.
Trojans allow Aoki to try to go through this inning. Scott had a bit of a long leash with the Cardinal, but Aoki could be different.
Good cut from Moore, fouling it back. I believe that was pitch number 75 for Aoki. So, again, been very efficient in this outing today.
I think if you're Malcolm Moore right now, you're just thinking, get this out of the infield. Let's just get this into the outfield. At the very least, we'll have a sacrifice fly.
Good eye there. Works the count full. You're hearing from the Stanford dugout. And you never know. Sometimes it just takes that one at-bat to really get things going.
A little bit of luck. Owen Cobb now sitting on third. Reach on that bunt.
Fly ball, shallow left. Will that be deep enough? Cobb tags up, and he will hold. Good job there by Takeuchi. We talked about it just on the play a little earlier. Couldn't get behind the ball to really get some force on the throw, but that time, just absolute perfection. Getting behind the ball and getting some force into it, so Owen Cobb couldn't get home.
Absolutely. A shallow fly ball, and I think Malcolm Moore will be kicking himself on that. Maybe 20 yards more, and the Cardinal would be looking at that scoreboard with one more run on it, but nonetheless, still a runner on, 2 outs.
And that brings up Jimmy Nadeye. 0 for 2 so far today, so that batting average now under 400, 397, but still hitting 375 with runners in scoring position. First pitch in for strike one.
Beyond that, if you look at Nadeye's stats, hitting 500 with 2 outs. Exactly the hot hand you want up late, fight 0-2 on the day.
Another good pitch by Aoki down low.
And that's not the first time Aoki's gotten Nadeye with that pitch. He got him swinging for the 3rd strike in the previous at-bat for Nadeye.
Everything is at the disposal right now for the righty for USC, and that one just outside. Good eye by Nadeye.
Was a good 2-strike pitch right there. Close enough, seeing if he can get Nadeye chasing, as you mentioned. Good eye there for Nadeye.
Jimmy were to reach. Reynolds is on deck for Stanford. And there's a swing and a miss, strike 3. Once again, Aoki going downstairs and gets the whiff. So Stanford got the leadoff runner all the way to third and couldn't do anything else with it. We're going to go now to the 7th. USC in front, 3-1. Getting ready for the top of the 7th inning. USC coming to the plate with Carpentier, Wells, and then we go back to the top. You see the strikeout total right now for Matt Scott coming out with 101 pitches so far. He has 6 of them. There has been action, though, going on in the Stanford pen, so you do expect that maybe any type of traffic on the base paths might do it for Matt Scott this evening. First pitch, weak grounder, charging, throwing, nice play at shortstop there by Haskins for out number 1.
Good job from Dean Carpentier. Speed on him, just trying to beat that out. Take a look at that. A very slow bounce ball. Haskins really had to hustle in. Good job for Haskins. Threw a dime over to first, too.
Just got him. And usually you'll see that play. That's where a lot of infielders will try to go with the bare hand. And Haskins trusting his arm, knowing that he had enough time to get a strong throw over. Went with the glove as the strike 1 into Carson Wells.
Yeah, and those slow ground balls, they're trickier than people think because you have to charge them, and then you have to make that decision. If you have time to do that with your glove hand, you have to go bare hand. Good job, Haskins, charging that, knowing exactly what to do, where the runner was. Good awareness from him around that base path.
1-1 count now to the 9-hole hitter. 182 this year. Pulled the string on him, 1-2.
That off speed has been so effective for Matt Scott today.
That's a good 14, 15 mile an hour difference compared to where he's been sitting with his fastball today. The 1-2. Fastball outside.
Yeah, batting to some degree is really just about that timing, right? If you can go from 94, that pitch right there, 94, back down to 81. Not a lot that batter can do unless they're anticipating that change of speed.
Got to be sitting on it pretty much. 2-2. Smithing ball 3 and another full count.
One of many we've seen, and one of the reasons the Trojans are sitting in the lead right now, as you mentioned. Matt Scott over 100 pitches already, and this is a big reason why. Forcing Scott into the count every single time.
By my count, I believe this is the 6th full count we've seen. Matt Scott, payoff pitch, grounder over to second. That took a little bit of an interesting spin to it, but Owen Cobb's able to adjust. 2 down.
And we see Cobb make that adjustment. Like he almost fell to his knees having to do so, but a hard hit ball, as we'll take a look at it here. Cobb making that adjustment. Plenty of time when he gets to his feet. That looked like Z4-3 put out. 2 out now.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it got part of the side of the mound or not. You could tell as soon as the ball was hit, Owen Cobb broke to more up towards the middle, then had to react to go back over to the first base side. As a curveball missing low and in. We go through the lineup now for a 4th time for USC. Austin Overn at the plate. 1 for 3 so far. Fastball low and away.
The tough start to the day, batting 0 for 2 to start off and hitting that single in the 5th inning.
Greeno.
Not what you want to see if you're the Stanford Cardinal out of your starting pitcher. 2 out, expecting over and take all the way here with a 3-0 count.
Swinging all the way, 3-0, fly ball towards the net, and it'll get out of play, bouncing on top of the dugout.
Well, he thought he had his pitch. Got under and a little late on it, was over. And
that's when you know there's a lot of trust in a young player to give that freedom to swing away in a 3-0 count like that. Comes the 3-1. Swing and a miss. Strike 2.
Scott doing a great job here, behind in the count 3-0, and has climbed back into it. By our tallies, 7th full count we've seen in this game.
Here's the Stanford crowd trying to get behind him here. Here comes the payoff. And on the hands, fouled it back. And a very good hand coming from the Stanford faithful here at Sunken Diamond. I see Matt Scott get this last out. Here's the payoff again. Lost him. Missed with the fastball high. And we'll see here, maybe this might do it. Or if we're just going to have a quick conversation.
At the dagger for Matt Scott, climbing all the way back into the count after going down 3-0, and it looks like we might have change in pitchers here.
Yeah, that was pitch number 115 for Matt Scott. So he thought that might be his last batter. But when we come back, we'll let you know all about the new arm coming in for Stanford as they try to hold this game at 3-1. You're taking a look at the 6'4" righty, Joey Volchko, getting ready to come in relief for Stanford, making appearance number 7 on the year. Last saw him back on the 10th at Washington. Overall in the year, Joey's gone 6 2/3 innings, has given up 6 hits, 4 runs, 2 of those earned, with 8 strikeouts, 9 walks. And right now for him, the big thing is you got to hold that walk that Matt Scott gave up over at first base. Keep this at a 3-1 game and give Stanford a chance back at the plate to try to make some things happen.
Absolutely, and a big situation here for the freshman, Joey Volchko. Volchko, as you mentioned, his 7th appearance on the year, 0 starts and 6 appearances before this, and stand out in high school. Graduate of Redwood High School, right around beautiful Palo Alto, California. He guided his high school team to a Division I Central Section semifinal, and in his first year here with the Cardinal. And as you mentioned, his job right now is just get that final out and give Stanford the opportunity to climb back into this game. Again, just 2 runs. Doesn't seem like a lot, but in a game like this, where runs are very hard to come by, 1 more could make all the difference.
Without a doubt, and of course, you can't close the book on Matt Scott just yet. Again, he is responsible for the runner over at first. But, Sarah, all in all, I mean, you think about this performance, you get 6 2/3 innings from Matt Scott. You do see the 7 hits up there, but usually you come out of a game giving up only 3 runs. Of course, there are certain situations where Matt had to deal with runners in scoring position after the leadoff hitter. All in all, another solid performance from Matt after what we saw him do last week, too.
Absolutely. 5 strikeouts on the day for Matt Scott. Standing ovation as he came off the field here at Sunken Diamond. And as you mentioned, 3 runs, not a ton to have given up. Just been a pitcher's duel. And Cardinals' offense hasn't quite rallied behind Scott on the day. But for Scott, 5 strikeouts, 3 runs allowed against this USC team that really started to get going this game. A good outing for him overall.
So now, right now, it's up to Joey Volchko going up against Jacob Galloway. Volchko can bring it from the mound, can reach those mid to upper 90s on his fastball. Got to make sure you find the zone. Right now, behind in the count 2-0 to the USC catcher.
Arguably the most dangerous hitter right now at the plate for the Trojans. Galloway, a single in the first inning, grounded out in the third, but threw a walk, the only walk we had seen up until then in the 5th inning. Galloway knowing how to reach base in multiple ways, and beyond that, catcher for the Trojans hitting .387 on the year.
That's not what you want to see coming out of the bullpen. It's a 4-pitch walk. The back-to-back walks for USC. And now you got to deal with their 3-hole hitter. And Kevin Takiachi. Again, this is where it gets more difficult now for Stanford. Of course, the bright side of things is when you look up, you still have the 2 outs, so you really just need to get 1. There's a throwback to second.
That's one way to try to do it. We've seen it before in this game. Smart move there from Volchko. Was extremely aggressive on the base path. As we've mentioned, another run could mean quite a bit, so good idea there for Volchko to check the runner at second.
And there's strike 1, second one coming in on this outing now for Volchko. This is where USC has been pretty good in this game. Again, they might be struggling coming into the game offensively, but these runner-on situations, they found a way to manufacture some runs when they need to. As that one is a late strike called there by Patrick Riley, but if you're Stanford, you'll take it.
Yeah, found his way in there, and after 4 balls in a row, for Volchko immediately coming out of the pen, he throws 2 strikes in a row, and that's what you want to see if you're the Cardinals.
0-2. Low and away.
For me, that's a fine 0-2 pitch. Plenty space to work with. See if he chases it. Plenty of room still for Volchko.
He said as it should be. Nowhere close on that 0-2 count. Here's the 1-2. Runner goes from second, and strike 3 called. Big strikeout there for Joey Volchko as Takiachi's rung up. So good job there to leave it at 3-1. It's stretch time here at Sunken. Stanford trailing 3-1. Tip of the cap again to Caden Aoki, who had a phenomenal start in this one, but his outing will be done. And Sarah, we talked about it. It was just about location, the movement of those pitches. He really kept Stanford off balance all game.
Absolutely. Caden Aoki, you said it. It wasn't necessarily with the speed. He only notched 4 strikeouts, but he had full command of the Stanford Cardinal team, only allowing 4 hits in 6 innings. What an outing.
Yep, just the 1 earned run with 4 strikeouts. And he turns it over to Xavier Martinez, the junior who comes in from CSUN. Was a Big West honorable mention a year ago. So far this season, making appearance number 9. That's 13 innings of work. Starting off with a ball there, 2.27 ERA. 1-0 record, 14 strikeouts, and 9 walks.
Given 2023 Big West honorable mention. He also posted the best ERA at 2.9. Sophomore year before that, he posted a 1.74 ERA in 10 innings.
That went down the line, and it will hang up, though, for out number 1. And nothing too hardly hit, really, for Stanford in this game so far.
Yeah, I mean, across the board in this game, I would say power hasn't necessarily been the story of it, right? We've been talking a lot about that chess match that is baseball and both teams playing small ball, if you will. Strategic moves here and there. Stanford really just need to get some type of a rally going. So far, we haven't seen them put a string of hits together.
So far for Stanford, they only have 1 inning in this game where they've had multiple hits. And, of course, shocker, that's when they scored their lone run. That was back in the 2nd inning. We had the double from Reynolds. The single from Reynolds. And then the double from Becerra. Haskins now in a 1-1 count.
Yeah, and that's all credit to Caden Aoki. Stanford, of course, with 4 hits on the day and 2 runners left on. And when you're only leaving runners on 4 hits, runners just really aren't reaching base in any capacity. That's no walk or anything. They shut down defense here from the Trojans as well. Errorless.
It's been to your point, it's been such a well-pitched game, not even just because you look at the score. Again, Stanford's only drawn 1 walk, and USC's drawn 2 in this whole game. Of course, when you have those Friday night guys out there, it's kind of what you expect. What a beautiful off-speed pitch. Got him looking.
Xavier Martinez, that off-speed, 77 miles an hour. The pitch before that hit 91. So we talk about the change in speed and how you can fool the batters, and that's one way to do it right there. And if you're doing the math, that's 14-mile-an-hour difference. And not only that, but when you go from Caden Aoki, who was just barely notching 90, somebody like Xavier Martinez, who can kind of get up into the mid-90s, it's a different look for these Cardinal batters.
Which, of course, you think about it with how the results that Stanford was having against Aoki. Maybe the different view might not be the worst thing possible. Is, again, there's that mid-90s that you were talking about, Sarah. It's a 93, but outside. Just got to wonder, who's it going to be in this lineup that can really just get something started? Think about all those Stanford teams the last few years. That you really could go 1 through 9, and any given at bat, it was going to be someone that could get it going.
Lavin got it going in the 5th inning, hitting that single, and then with Sarah coming up after him, grounding into a double play, really killed that rally for the Cardinal. But Lavin potentially get things going once again here for the Cardinal.
Fastball taken, 2-1.
Sometimes it's who you least expect. Lavin, the DH, again having a tougher start. He's averaging 160 at the batter's box as a designated hitter, but already has 1 on the day. Potentially could get this going and get himself going on the year.
A little late there to count even 2-2. Feels like with the Xavier Martinez, I mean, we talked about the velocity. He can get to the mid-90s, but even when it's in the low 90s, I feel like there might be some deception with his delivery because even on that one there, 91, and Lavin was all behind it as he was right there on 92. So an impressive 1, 2, 3 inning for Xavier Martinez as he continues on with this great USC pitching performance. We head to the top of the 8th. USC still in front, 3-1. Could not ask for a prettier picture than that right there here at Sunken Diamond. The one thing you might want to see change, though, is that score if you're a Stanford fan, as they trail 3-1 going into this 8th inning. The middle of the lineup due up for USC. First pitch in. The Ryan Jackson is low for ball 1. Joey Volchko back out for another inning of work. And he closed that book officially for Matt Scott. Went 6 2/3, gave up 7 hits, 3 runs. All of those were earned with 6 strikeouts and 1 walk.
So now facing the part of the order here with cleanup hitter Ryan Jackson. Shortstop 2 for 3 on the day. Single, a triple, and a strikeout for Ryan Jackson. Transfer University of Nevada, who's already second on the team with RBIs, has had himself quite the day.
High and tight, ball 3. He got the tone set back in that 6th inning where he had that triple that landed right in front of McDonald over in left field. Off-speed pitch in there, strike 2.
Volchko hitting at 96 mile an hour on the radar.
And on the hands fouled off. Yeah, I said that was off-speed. It looked like it was off-speed to me, but then again, it's like you look up, you see 96
That's
on
exactly
the gun.
what you said. I think
Yeah.
it's that fastball's got movement on it is what it is.
That's some movement. He throws it effortlessly, too. I think that was part of it that got me. High and tight, though, there for ball 4. And the leadoff hitter on once again for USC.
Volchko now 3 batters face. He walked 1, he struck out 1, and then he's just walked that 3rd. So out of the 3 batters, 2 walks. Not what you want to see from your relief pitcher for the Cardinal.
Absolutely. And, of course, every time the USC's had a leadoff runner on, they have scored in that inning. They look to continue that trend. See that small ball approach. Harrison showing the bunts.
If you look at Joey Volchko's line, this is really what he is. He's going to walk somebody or he's going to strike them out. 11 walks in the year, 9 strikeouts.
Actually, that's a pinch hitter. It's Brayton Dowd, 16, who is in right now for USC. See the bunt attempt there. Goes back, foul, off the screen.
Now, freshman out of Clarkston, Michigan.
I wonder how many times he's been asked while he's been at USC the hand question. Right, you get somebody from Michigan, you just show like, okay, where are you? Which part are you from? And it's like, here's basically the shape of what Michigan looks like. So
that's a good question. Probably more at USC than in Michigan.
Right.
Dowd, though, just 3 at-bats on the season.
Good job there by the freshman. That's a good bunt. Tough play at first, but strong throw over by Malcolm Moore to get the outs.
Yeah, that had to be a dagger. A little bit of a miscommunication between Malcolm Moore and Boltko there about who was going to pick it up. Moore, at the end of the day, scooped that up and just throws a dagger over to first base. And the right idea there from the catcher. Take a look at that. See the small miscommunication here, and finally Boltko laying off of it. And good job there from Malcolm Moore.
That was well done. I mean, I know he was bunting for the sacrifice, but that could have very well been an infield hit. Runner on second now after another successful sacrifice by the Trojans. Fastball's in for strike one. And Hedges still looking for his first hit of the game, but he's been productive. Sacrifice fly back in the 6th inning. That's in the dirt.
Sophomore played a similar role last year as a freshman. Appeared in 49 games, started all 5 of those. So now in his sophomore career, he's hoping to just grow into this role here as a third baseman for the Trojans.
Nice pitch, late tailing motion away from Hedges. 1-2. Two opponents have seen each other so many times and easily taking third. The pitch was tailing low and away is Jackson. So once again, you see USC being aggressive on the base pass. They have another runner now at third base. Now you're going to see Stanford defensively on the infield move in and trying to do whatever they can to keep that runner at third. 2-2. Oh, and away, ball 3.
And how many times have we seen this from USC? A batter gets onto first base, get a base runner, either a sacrifice bunt or a steal for second base, and then with right-handed batter up the plate, they just take third base easily.
Big pitch here. Check swing. Yes, he went around. Big time pitch there as Ethan Hedges goes down on strikes. And now Joey Volchko, 1 out away from getting out of this. He's going to have to go up against Andrew Lamb to get it done.
That was a big time pitch from Volchko. Full count, half challenge, and he does, and it pays off.
Lefty-righty matchup here, but we've seen Volchko, some of this movement goes right to that back foot of a left-handed hitter, as you see right there on the first pitch.
Off speed, but his off speed is 88 miles an hour. Still has on it. First pitch there from Volchko on 1 to count.
Jackson over at third. Blowing in 1-1. Ever since 1959 have these teams been playing against each other. Grounder over to second, and Cobb will field for out number 3. So USC gets a runner all the way over to third, but nothing doing besides that. Stanford's starting to run out of outs now. They have 6 left to try to get 2 runs. They trail 3-1. Bottom three in the lineup coming up for Stanford in the bottom of the bottom of the eighth. Still trying to piece some hits together. Get right back into this. I'll start off with Timo Becerra, who drove in the lone run for Stanford. That coming back in the second inning. Becerra, Hott, and Cobb. 3 due up for the Cardinal. Against Xavier Martinez in inning number 2 for him. Starting it off with a big looping curveball. Ball 1. Don't think we saw that out of him in that 7th inning.
No, I don't think so. 73 miles an hour with that big curve. New pitch, but Martinez is dominant in that 7th inning. Fly out to left field, strikeout recorded for Martinez.
Gone as many as 2 1/3 innings so far this year. That was his longest outing. Sarah, a little behind on it. Fouls it back over on that right side. I think that's so impressive about Xavier Martinez. You talked about how he led the team in ERA last year when he was at CSUN. Thing about it too was he was even that much better on the road, as he had a 1.74 ERA in road games, and pitches like that is a big reason why. I got the swing there for Becerra for out number 1.
4 batters faced and 3 strikeouts. Xavier Martinez absolutely showing why he's pretty lethal transfer that you have added to this rotation coming out of the bullpen.
Of course, that's the era that we're in now with college athletics, right? So many those impact players that you can get out of transfers. That's inside, but I do not believe that it got a piece of Hott there. Pretty interesting year right now for USC in baseball. Of course, they have home games, but it's not their traditional home games, if you will. All the repair and work that's being done over at Dito Field, the legendary, historic Dito Field. So playing their games elsewhere this year, their home games, but they're going to be excited at the renovations. Saw some of the renderings of how that's supposed to look when it's all said and done.
It makes a big difference having that home field advantage or not. And of course, if that comes with fans, that comes with comfortability of the locker room and dugout and diamond. So, of course,
hard hit, but going to be fielded well by Jackson for out number 2. As we take a look again, here's that last time out we saw Owen Cobb when he was able to get over to third, being really aggressive on the base pass. Remember, we saw that ball that bounced in front of the catcher, Galloway. And then, again, taking third base on that fly ball over to left. Couldn't get him home, but, again, sometimes, Sarah, like, this is what you want to see, what you need to see when you're trying to find your way as a team at the plate. Do whatever it takes to get yourself in a good scoring position.
Absolutely, and do whatever it takes to get that momentum going, right? When the bats really aren't connecting like you want them, you have to do something. Try to start that momentum and start a rally and, like you said, get runners in scoring position. And both teams have been doing that today, but the USC bats are a little hotter than the Cardinal bats, able to bring those runners home.
Of course, it's one thing to get the hits. It's another thing to get the timely hits. And right now for USC, I mean, it really hasn't even been timely hits. It's just been timely ABs, if you will. You talk about all the sacrifices that they've had. You do see the 7 hits up there, but you look at a lot of their run-producing plays, they've actually resulted or come from outs.
Absolutely. It's been just smart baseball there from USC and executing what they need to execute. Fly balls, sack flies, sack bunts, and that's really how they have been able to capitalize in this game. Pair that with some impressive base. USC, smart ball here. Talk about find other ways to get the runs. Talking about that part, But USC, a team that, you look at their record, they're 4-12 on the year. They're a team that's just trying to figure out how to get runs for themselves. And so perhaps aggressive on the base path, leaning into those sacrifice flies and sacrifice bunts like they've done today is them kind of finding their groove and finding their game on the year.
You've seen a little bit of everything in terms of the small ball game for them today, right? We've seen the stolen bases, the sacrifice bunts, sacrifice flies. Again, nothing hit extremely hard. It's just been perfectly located singles. Of course, they had the triple. As the payoff pitch swung on and missed for strike three. Another great outing in innings, for Xavier Martinez. As he's seen 6 batters, he's retired 6 batters. We head to the 9th. Final frame about to get underway. 3-1 USC lead over the Stanford Cardinal. That'll be the bottom 2 in the lineup for USC before we go back to the top for the 5th time today. As Joey Volchko is continuing his outing on the mound. Already 1 1/3 innings in. Now goes up against Dean Carpentier. Pitch inside, ball 1.
Here with a big day, single center field, second inning for his first at bat. He had a sacrifice bunt, moved the runner over in the 5th, and grounded out to stop 7th. So big day for him with some production as well for USC coming out of the bottom of this lineup.
That's the thing about it, too. It's been a little bit of everybody in terms of who's helped to get this lead for USC. As I'll be fielded by Haskins and throw to first for out number 1. And by my count, I know I have at least 4, I believe, sacrifices. And you see the strong throw here by Haskins. But again, it's where is it coming from in the lineup, right? We see it from the 8-hole hitter, 9-hole hitter. There's the 5 and 6-hole hitters. It's a little bit of everybody.
Absolutely, and whenever you can get production bottom lineup, not top, odds are you're doing something right. You might take that home in that game.
That's ball outside from Joey Volko. Here's one of the Trojans who's had a sacrifice today. Talking about Carson Wells at sacrifice fly back in the 5th inning.
Carson Wells RBI on that sacrifice fly. Other than that, he's grounded out to second base twice, but again, production from the bottom of the lineup. Right fielder contributing here, points on the board for the Trojans and finding a way to do so. 179 on the year. Wells is batting, so finding ways other than additional hits.
You look at this some of the numbers for USC today. Again, nothing that really wows you. And they're 1 for 9 with runners on base, 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. But again, that doesn't take into account the sacrifices, the little things that they've done to manufacture and make things happen.
And at the end of the day, we have to talk about the headline, which is, of course, this school. And
absolutely.
Of course, what shut down Ben with putting out on the field. That includes not only on the mound, of course, behind him on the diamond.
Payoff. Missing low, and there's a walk.
We'll go third walk since coming in. He's got 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. Has to be expected to look at his line. That's really what you get with Joey Boltco. Once again in a jam here, top of the 9th, just 1 out with a runner on.
Been a lot of traffic, though, for USC. Runner holding at first as the fastball's outside. Carson Wells on the year does have 3 stolen bases and has many attempts. Throws over.
Talking about USC, it's sacrifice bunt runners, so prize here. What we've seen all game is Trojan sending that runner when it's the right time. Try to steal second and get that runner in scoring position. Get 1 more in the top of the 9th, just as we say that.
Line the other way, and that might split the gap. Here comes Wells around the third. He's going to score standing up. Going over for the triple and diving in head first is going to be Austin Overn. A big-time RBI triple for the sophomore, and USC tacks on another one. It's 4-1.
Well, they sent the runner a hit and run here. Let's take a look at this. Opposite direction, as you said, finding the gap is Austin Overn. Just splitting left center field. Easy way to come in there for Carson Wells. Absolutely would have made it home had he not gone steal second on that hit and run, but of course, plenty of space there for him. Rounding second base before that ball out.
Second triple of the game now for USC, and that went right back to Volchko, and he's going to go over to first. Might have had a chance to go home with it. I think I heard some of the Stanford defenders trying to say go home with it, but he goes to first with a sure out. Attack on another run now for USC, and it is 5-1.
Yeah, that situation, it looked like Boltco didn't even want to pause to check the runner there on third.
Take a look here. First off, that's one of those situations, too, where you don't find the ball finds you. But you take a look. Yeah, I think that was Haskins coming in from short.
Yeah.
And you saw him pointing. He was pointing to home, trying to tell Volchko to go there.
Yeah, over and on third, not even a thought to hold up and see what Boltco was going to do. He just went immediately when the ball hit Boltco's glove.
Other way. Nice reaction over at first base by Nadai. For USC, before that third out, though, they put 2 on the board. The first cricket number we've seen on the scoreboard in an inning in this one. We go to the bottom of the 9th. Stanford has 3 outs to try to get 4. They trail 5-1. Really hasn't mattered in this game who's been on the mound for USC. Been a phenomenal pitching performance. Again, we've talked about it, what Caden Aoki was able to do for USC as a starter. And then Xavier Martinez came in and gave 2 phenomenal innings of work out of relief.
Yeah, absolutely. You take a look at this here. 4 strikeouts for Xavier Martinez. Just a stellar performance out of the bullpen. Starter and closer here, and that's exactly what USC needed, and he did with what Caden Aoki was doing. Aoki tallied 4 strikeouts across the 6 innings that he pitched. Martinez, 4 strikeouts across those 2 that he pitched. Absolutely shut down from the mound here for the Trojans.
Now they'll turn it over in the 9th inning over to Josh Blum, the junior from Bel Air, Texas. Pitched 30 games out of the bullpen for USC last year, 3rd most ever in school history. Has continued on with his work here this year. So far, 2 saves on the year, 7 1/3 innings of work. 16 strikeouts to 3 walks, so very good walk-strikeout ratio. Going up against the top 3 of the lineup for Stanford with McDonald, Moore, and Nadai. Just like you would expect with that strikeout count. Find his way around the zone a good bit, and right now ahead 0-2.
Josh Blum just a 1.3 ERA on the season. Stellar across 7.1 innings pitched. That's USC's closer out. Really put a lid on this game.
Swung on, and that's it well down the line. Does it have enough? It is gone! Court McDonald put Stanford a little bit closer now as it's 5-2 on the laser down the right field line.
Court McDonald, the sophomore out of Arlington, Texas, and McDonald with his first true hit of the game, and it's a home run, and a leadoff home run. What a way to start the 9th inning here for the Cardinal.
Well, you talk about the work that Josh Blum does. One thing, though, leadoff hitters coming into today, we're hitting 400 against them, and again, you just look at that compact swing there by Court McDonald, and that's an absolute laser. 103 off the bat. Again, the ball usually does not travel well here at night, but if you hit it on the nose like that, it doesn't really matter. Now Malcolm Moore at the plate takes for ball 1. Big cut there. Came up empty.
Trying to match Court McDonald
right
there.
Exactly.
Malcolm Moore looking for that back-to-back home run with that.
2nd home run of the year for Court McDonald. That's going to be lined and caught down the line by the first baseman Carpentier. So give credit there to Blum. You answer the home run with an out. And now Stanford with 2 outs to play with.
Yeah, and that's good positioning. I mean, well hit there from Moore. Just in the right position is first baseman Carpentier for Trojans.
And you saw the shift on the 3 infielders over on that right side of second base for USC. Now Jimmy Nadai at the plate, still looking for his first hit of the game, still trying to get it out of the infield for the first time today. Grounded out and 2 strikeouts. Take strike 1.
Nadai coming into this game, leading batting average, OPS, on base percentage, name it. Having a difficult day today. So it goes, as they say. Baseball is a failure. Sometimes not today.
How great would it be to have a job where you're thought of as great if you only do your job 30% of the time? Isn't that wonderful?
It's wonderful, but it's also if trying to hit something that's 95 miles an hour, it gets a little less wonderful.
Right. Line drive the other way, but it's going to hang up. And Wells makes the grab, and they're 2 down.
Once again, just good positioning there for the Trojans. You see Wells playing in shallow there. If he's playing in his normal positioning, he doesn't make that play. Let's take a look at this, a looping ball to right field, and you can see how close in Wells is. Coming in and making that grab. Story of this game, good defense, good small ball from the Trojan.
Final out now for Stanford as Reynolds steps in. First pitch fouls it off a little bit past the bullpen for USC. Brady Reynolds had his single in the second inning. Continue on with the 6-game hitting streak.
Up in the Trojan, just in case. Will, of course, they're hoping Josh Plum will do his job. Plenty of room for him to work with. Came in with a 4-run lead. Obviously, that's short free after home run from Court McDonald to lead it off. Or strike get finish this job.
Perfectly placed on the outside corner. 1 strike left to play with now for Stanford. Well, just trying to find a way to get this over to Haskins and keep the line moving. Check swing, but he held up.
Oh, that's a good eye there. Reynolds down to your last strike game. Hold that check swing.
Two. Got him out a little in front. Fly ball, shallow right. Coming in to make the grab will be Wells, and that will do it for game 1 of the series. Again, the big story of it all, Sarah, at the end of the day, was phenomenal pitching performance for USC and their ability to do the small things on offense to make it work.
Yeah, you said it. I mean, 8 strikeouts across the first 2 pitchers. Caden Aoki with the win on the day, and deservedly so. Just an absolutely stellar outing for the Friday night starter here from USC. And it was a pitching duel, just like we expected. Stanford just couldn't get their bats going. But on to game 2 tomorrow. Brand new day, brand new game.
Yeah, brand new day indeed. Probably going to be Tyler Stromsborg going for USC as Christian Lim, the lefty, will go for Stanford. And in that situation, again, you talked about it too with Caden Aoki. We said you never want to be that team that lets a pitcher get into a rhythm, right? If you've had a couple struggles, remember, came in with a 7.71 ERA, but absolutely a gem by him. Of course, you had Blum who came in at the end, gave up the home run, but since you had that cushion, nothing too much really to worry about. And, of course, Xavier Martinez right there in the middle was absolutely phenomenal.
Across the board, a good team win for the Trojans. You look at the line, of course, 5-2, they come out on top. 8 hits compared to Stanford, 5 errorless across both teams. USC, in those 8 hits, they also left 7 runners on base. Plenty of base runners for the Trojans, and comparably Stanford, just 2 runners left on base, and that really was the story here for Bart. Difficult to get base runners today.
Absolutely, getting base runners on, but then also when they get on base, not much doing there with it, right? Well, before we head out, again, shout out to the amazing crew that we've had here. Sierra Miller, our director, technical director Eric Rogers, our shader Brian Rea. On replay, we've had Herbie De La Cruz and Frank Lee. On graphics, Yosef Gabrekadon. I'm sure he messed up at least once or twice today because that's typical Yosef. And on camera, of course, we've had AJ Coco, Sam Hudson, Dan Sherry, and Nolan Eilers. And, of course, our producer, as always, is Ethan Cardoza. And we will see you again tomorrow. First pitch going to be right around 2 o'clock in Game 2 between Stanford and USC. Alongside Sarah Ash, I'm Jordan Watkins. Thanks again for tuning in. Hope you have a great rest of your night, and we will see you here tomorrow.